Welcome to the show, Filip.
Hey, Marta. Nice to talk to you again.
So if I were reading off your CV, Filip, your research experience is in developing data-efficient and interpretable neural network models, working with world-class researchers in biology, data science, and machine learning. In other words, you're really, really stupid, right?
That's how I feel most of my life so far, yeah.
No, you're just it's incomprehensible to me what you do. But could you say, for those of us who are lay people, sort of what you wrestle with? What are the questions you study and think about?
I mean, in that particular project, we try to understand how, vision works in humans. So maybe a way to think about it is that if you recognize another human being, then there's some computation happening. But if your cell phone recognizes your face as, oh, this is Marta, now I can unlock the phone. Somehow that is also some sort of computation. And then the question is, how similar, how different are these computations between what we're doing in our own brain versus what kind of a digital face recognition algorithm would do. And it turns out that there's a lot more similarities or building blocks within kind of these digital models that we're building that are actually useful to also predict some of the neural activity. So that's something that came a little bit as a surprise, because that's the idea, right? I mean, how does a human do it? How does a computer do it? What's the difference? What's the similarity? And what can we learn from how, as humans, we process visual information?
Mm-hmm. I suppose the obvious question here is the AI industry benefiting from your research directly, or is this sort of purely at the R&D level?
I think it's more the other way around. I have the feeling that neuroscience is more benefiting from these neural networks that we're building now, that we're engineering. I think we get a lot of insights in, what works. If you want to have a cell phone that actually can do this face recognition, people have been trying to do face recognition for decades, literally decades. And the visual field has been really studied, since the 60s in detail, since Hubel and Wiesel trying to understand, when does neurons become active? And there's whole pathways that have been described. And still, being able to do image classification. So it's just say, okay, I mean, I'm presenting something, and now the computer has to say, that's a dog, that's a cat, that's that's Marta, that's trying to build in all these kind of pieces of information that we got from the brain into an algorithm. That's kind of okay, but then some kind of surprise happened. I don't know exactly if it was 2012, but now you could suddenly have somebody who has not been into the visual system at all, but they know how to build neural networks. They know how to actually train neural networks on a bunch of images, and then outperform all of these algorithms that people were trying to develop by just finding inspiration in the biology. And this person has zero kind of background of the visual system. Nevertheless, they outperform, handcrafted, specialized modules based on the brain. So somehow, now we start to think, well, okay, do these details matter? So if suddenly we can do much better with these kind of digital networks, why is that? What kind of computations are happening there? And now we can try to actually understand this engineered systems because we have full access. It's much easier to access, your neural network in your computer than to access the brain cells in your head. It's actually one of the big problems in biology. It's incredibly hard to actually extract the information. And even if you're able to do kind of heroic experiments, which people do, it's still subsampling kind of, very loosely, kind of, the full complexity that there is. So somehow if you just look at the brain, it feels hopeless. If you try to say, okay, let's just try to see if you can engineer a system that can do similar things as humans, on real challenges in the real world, just like humans have to solve real challenges, then we can see, first of all, does it work or not? If it works, what makes it work? What makes it fail? And if you understand that, is there some similar kind of processing happening within the biology, and can we test for that? And there seems to be surprising amount of similarities in between what the engineered systems look like and the biological systems, much more than we would have anticipated. There's still differences, but that's why I think it's almost, for me personally, I shift from literally the biology, the biochemistry to engineered systems, because I have the feeling that this is the most efficient way for me to understand what it takes to build an intelligent system as we are as well.
Interesting. So you're not made to feel insecure by AI's advancements in these models. These are actually helping you. You're not worrying about your job at this point.
No, that's a different thing. It could be that if you can have systems that can do the same things as humans, that they can replace humans as well. And depending on what kind of problem you're dealing with, that might happen sooner or later. And you can definitely see in software engineering that there's a revolution happening now in the last 6 months, where if you used to have a computer science degree a year ago, then you were like, in a way, a god, because now you can have high salary and you're well sought after. And now maybe I'm not going to say it's much more challenging to break into the industry, but it seems like you can replace it with coding agents that can do things much more quicker. And without experience, you might not be as valuable anymore. So definitely, I think this is going to change a lot in society. And I think it's okay. I think for me, it's okay. I think it's gonna be depend how much you can adapt to the new to the new tools, and whether you can turn it into something that is helpful and creative. So personally, I benefit from this kind of free intelligence that comes up now, because it allows me to ask more challenging questions. It allows me to understand things that otherwise I wouldn't. It would be, the learning curve is easier in a way because of that.
Interesting. So as I prefaced in this show, I'm interested obviously in empathy as a part of creativity, and I know that's not necessarily your specialty, but I'm thinking about this in terms of replicating machines, being able to replicate empathy and creativity on the sort of human way. What's your take on that? I know Dario Modi of Anthropic wrote recently that we're not that far away. Machines are already much smarter than we are at this point. But what about these emotional elements that we claim to have? Though those are our superpowers, those are our patents. Are we going to be overtaken soon, from your perspective?
I mean, so. Yeah, I mean, that could be the case. I think there's two things. I mean, you have creativity and then being creative. And I think these systems probably can be creative as well. Again, the question is, what do you mean with creativity? But I could imagine something that you have like different ideas, and suddenly you can combine it into something that is interesting and valuable. It's a bit the same like synergy, right? You have two isolated pieces and you bring them together, and suddenly there's extra value being created, and humans can connect these dots.
Right. Right. And they're saying that's our superpower, right? That's where machines don't have the advantage yet, because we are the ones who are going to originate ideas, not merely scraping the internet universe and regurgitating things, but we are the ones who can innovate. And it seems to me machines can innovate, but maybe not into the field of emotion yet, or understanding what really resonates, in your gut when you're watching a movie or a performance, or that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's a bit the question. To what extent is that needed? To what extent do you need a system to be able to understand your feelings? I can imagine, like, you have a robot that takes care of an elderly woman or an elderly man, in a way, and how well can that? Suppose that it looks even like a human. So it doesn't have to be exactly like a human, but question is, how well can this humanoid robot address the needs of an 80-year-old woman? Because it might not just be about having the dishes washed or helping her out or just getting her to the toilet. It can also be that they're alone and that they're a bit depressed, and that there's somehow you need to find a spark within them to get them the motivation to enjoy being alive. And if you would have a caregiver that is a human, they probably are better at really sensing what that need is, especially if they've been kind of growing together over a couple of years, that you can kind of predict, you can resonate with the inner state of that other person, and then see, she maybe needs to have some fresh air today, or she might need a hug, or she might need, and that could be that the person, the caregiver, only knows that because it kind of can resonate emotionally. It doesn't have to be explicit, right? Maybe it just has to be able to feel that other person. And that's something that as humans, we developed, right? This ability to just feel another person, because we needed to. We needed to be able to collaborate. We needed to be able to do things together. We needed to understand another person's needs so that they could, first of all, live, be functional, not suffer, and that together we can survive better.
The neural pathways that you study, and I mean, I don't know if anyone has isolated sort of the empathy pathway, in the human brain, and what that is that able to be replicated, in the machine world. And again, I know this is not necessarily your specialty, but you know a lot about the brain, so I was thinking perhaps you.
I'm sure there's people that looked at empathy and the pathways, and there's this famous examples of mirror neurons that if you put people in a scanner and one person looks at somebody being slapped, and that person that would be slapped somehow would have some sort of response in their brain, that other person would also have like a similar kind of response in their brain. And there's so there's something that is activated in if you're having certain emotions, then these emotions can also be activated in the other person who's just observing it. So they might be actually using pathways that allow you to experience the same emotions, some sort of a replay in a way. But that is something that I don't think we have been able to show and demonstrate in digital form. And I don't, I think it's fair to say that nobody really knows that whether these digital systems, no matter how sophisticated and intelligent they are, if they actually can sense and experience feelings at all. That being said, that's not something that people are not trying to build in a way. And I think this is an interesting starting point where you have to see, do we want to have digital systems that are processing informations just like us, but they can also feel while processing informations?
Well, in that example you just spoke about, I've run some workshops on empathic listening and training and so on. And one of the things I say is that emotions, some of the studies have shown that emotions are contagious. If you're angry at someone, they're going to pick up on that. Or if you're empathic or putting yourself in the other's shoes, you're more vulnerable. That can also be contagious to the other person, which I think is kind of the essence of human, if you will. And I read a quote recently that said, without empathy, we're evil. And I thought that was really interesting, and wonder what your thoughts are about that.
I think there's two levels here. I think there's, first the ability to feel and to consciously experience. That's one level. Because even if I ask you the question, I can give you 100 billion. You don't have to do anything for it. You can just get it. There's just one condition. Would you take it if you're not allowed, or if you're not feeling things anymore?
Right. And I couldn't do it. I mean, even if I had $100 billion, that would be, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to live without my feelings.
Why not? Why not?
It's a very interesting proposal.
Why not?
It's just because I wouldn't want to not feel joy or happiness or love, because some of the most important things in my life are other humans and ideas that make me excited, So to not have any of those feelings, I would just be a machine. I might as well be a car.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you are a machine, but with this unique property that you actually can experience the information that you're processing. And it's still the kind of the mystery, why can we experience information processing as something that is joyful, something that can lead to suffering as well? Yeah, I think that's why life is so incredibly precious. I mean, the moment that you die, all of that hardware is still kind of lying around for a couple of hours, but the magic is gone. And the magic is that you can't experience consciously, the world around you, the world inside you. And all of that is what we would think is kind of the most precious thing there is to life, and not only in humans but also in other animals. I mean, they also experience life in all sorts of forms. I think dolphins, for instance, who says that they don't have a more kind of enjoyable life than we have? They seem to tumble around, so they could experience life in ways that we can only be jealous of. Or maybe even cats and dogs, maybe they're happier than us. So that's one level where can you experience feelings? And then the second one is, can you experience somebody else's feelings as well? And I think this is then where I think it's important if you want to collaborate, if you want to work together, if you want to be able to work as a unit, either with friends, either with strangers, colleagues, your wife, you have to somehow understand what's happening in the other person. And if you can put yourself in the shoes of somebody else, then it's very helpful if you want to be able to predict what the other person is going to do. And that ability to predict creates trust, and that trust is needed if you want to say, okay, we're going to specialize you maybe to get this task done, but I need to understand you well enough and predict you well enough. And I need to even understand that you understand me. So I have an image of what you are, but also what you think of me, so that I can see that I have to do certain things in case I know that you see that I'm not going to be able to do that. I don't even know how. So let's think about tennis, for instance. If you play doubles, right, then I have to model my partner, and I have to know what he thinks of me, so that I have to know whether I have to go and rush for that shot, because I know that he thinks that I'm going to. So this kind of recursive modeling of each other. And even it has to happen so quickly, maybe in tennis, that it's just a feeling, right? And maybe resonating with his feeling and my feeling. So this ability to be able to model another person is again a superpower if you want to have a more collective performance. And I think this is also probably why humans seem to be needed to be so intelligent. And that's also something that Pascal Iaguera from Google is really kind of, together with other people are really trying to say, is that, it's this modeling of other people that's actually at the core of what it means to be intelligent, because that's not an easy thing to do. And there's some studies that show that, and this is for primates, that if you have a bigger size of the group in primates, then the size of the brain is bigger as well. So it seems that there's a correlation between cortex and the size of the cortex, and then also how many members there are within that kind of tribe, in a way. and the more you have, the more
I
you have
see.
to keep track of what everybody
I
is
see.
doing, and
Interesting.
that really takes a lot of compute.
Yeah, computing power.
Computing power.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, this is great. I mean, this is a really as much as I could hope for in terms of exploring some of these dimensions. Are there things that I'm forgetting, or you would want to add that I haven't touched on?
I mean, that is it's just this thinking. It's just interesting to think what we want as a society. Do we want to have machines that can have, first of all, feelings? Second of all, that they actually resonate with who we are? Is that something that we are going to be better off? Do I want my robots to actually connect with me deeply, so that it knows better without asking, whether it should clean on a Monday with some noise, or whether it shouldn't do that?
And what do you think about that? I mean, do you have a utopian idea of that, or I mean, do you worry about the future?
Well, I didn't think of it deeply enough. I don't worry about it. I think in a way, I would like to see in my life at least some sort of minimal form of conscious experience within these systems, because I want to really understand where consciousness comes from. I always wanted to understand who I am, and I thought the biology would tell it to me, and then I thought the neuroscience would give it, and now I realize it's intelligence, and we need to understand not only what intelligence is, but also what it means to process, to kind of feel while you're trying to be intelligent. And I would love to see what kind of ingredients we need to be able to have these feelings become online. Then I think I am fine in a way with moving beyond humans. I think if I think about my great granddaughter or something, or even my daughter, and what do I want for her, and do I want her to suffer from back pain, for instance, or do I want her to suffer from the fact that she's actually quite limited in what she can compute, in a way, what she can understand. Back pain is kind of an easy one. I mean, you could say, okay, we can try to see if we can replace the vertebra with some sort of mechanical substitute. As long as it has the same function, then she doesn't have to have back pain anymore, and it could even be much better than the vertebra that we have now. But then you can also try to ask, what about brain cells? Can we just replace this wetware with something that is digital? It has the same functionality. Then we don't need to be limited by the biology. We can just process information quicker. But then you also, might experience the world in a different way, because, because now you have additional functionality. And do we want to limit ourselves being kind of uploaded to a monkey, or do we actually want to expand our experiences, and do we want to be able to have much richer and deeper experiences, and have the ability to understand the world around us in ways that are much more comprehensive? And I think I like that. I think I like the idea of being smarter and faster, and being able to experience, because there's so much more emotions and feelings that we have no idea about, that maybe we would be able to experience. We can resonate with other people, but what if we could resonate with a whole city, or with a whole country, or with the whole planet Earth? Because now we're so intelligent that we can spread out into the universe and kind of build even more sophisticated processing of information. I think honestly, yeah, I think we can increase our potential. But will we still be humans? No, maybe we have to redefine it. Will it be better? I think it could be better. The question is, as a human, the way I am now, will I be able to kind of resonate still with systems that, or
You're going to be tossed into the boneyard, into the glue factory, as we say when we put horses out to pasture. So
that is,
yeah, no. Let's hope that's not the case.
Well, I mean, I think it could be that both is still the case, that you can have humans in the current form and they can just enjoy life, and then you have humans that are more advanced, and who says that that they're better off? Maybe their life is happening at a pace that sometimes they say, the simplest minds are the happiest.
Right. Ignorance is bliss, we say. So, yeah.
But I also think that maybe these sophisticated, or kind of, if you can process information quicker, maybe you will understand your needs better somehow. And if you understand your needs better, maybe that's going to allow you to address them, and you have less suffering from that perspective.
Maybe. I mean, there's some people who have endless needs and never seem to be happy, and I don't know if that's a rational calculation or if it's a psychological state, So that's a tricky one.
Yeah, I think that's a psychological state. I think that people just somehow have to be able to look at it from the half, full glass rather than the half empty glass in a way.
Right. Well, this has been excellent. You're a runner. I know you're a competitive runner, right? Long distance?
Yeah.
Middle distance?
Yeah, that has...
And is AI helping you?
No, not really. This is actually where I kind of, I can live in the present, and, and I can just, tap into my kind of basic, state of bodily survival, where I kind of have to break the patterns in my head and just try to live in the here and the now. There's a lot to tell about running, but it's definitely keeping me, I think, happy in ways that maybe I won't be able to reach just by thinking about stuff.
Yeah, I see. All right. Well, Filip, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate this conversation. It's really fun.
Yeah, you're asking some of the most important questions that as a society we're facing. And I think this is exactly the time to actually try to see what we want, and if it's a good thing, if it's destabilizing, if we're gonna have to adapt as humans to be able to stay successful, and there's no way to stop it. So you have to try to get the benefits from it, and embrace it and adapt yourself.
Right. Well, excellent perspectives. Really enjoy our talks, and good luck to you in all your endeavors.
Same for you.
All right. Thank you. Take care.